Hey, we are live, Jedis. We're live, and welcome to another Mindful Salon Jedi podcast. And today we are in the salon with Seamus McCrory from McCrory here in Manchester. Welcome, Seamus. And before I introduce you, I'll introduce you a little bit. But before we get started, just let me give a little bit of details about Seamus. So, Seamus McCrory here, multi-award winning salon. It really embraces mindfulness and diversity in your salon, and you're going from strength to strength. And Seamus was also our Salon Jedi Member of the Year at our Salon Jedi Awards, our first ever Salon Jedi Member of the Year. We'll talk more about that later, of why you won it. And you've also been nominated this year for British Hairdressing Business Awards. So I think you've been nominated before, but you're up there again. So you're performing at the top level, and your salon is doing phenomenal. We'll talk a bit more about that. But I asked you on, Seamus, because you just fascinate me with your action taking and how much you're growing. So it's such a pleasure to have you on. Welcome to the Salon Jedi podcast.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, and Seamus, so what I want to do is I would love to know more about, because we only really met, we started working together about a year ago. It's about a year now?
Yeah.
And I'm really fascinated, your journey. Just tell everybody that's listening, tell us about your journey. How did you, when you first got into hairdressing, but how long have you been a salon owner? How did you get into it? Because I know you've got some stories around that. I'd love to just pass it over to you and just share a bit more about your journey up until we met, really, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay. So I started hairdressing in 1978, and the reason I got into hairdressing really is because I was a 60s baby, and my mother used to get her hair done every weekend at the salon, and I'd go in and there was a bank of hairdryers and lots of chatter, and the women loved me. I used to come out with my pockets swinging full of cash, and I thought this would be a great place to work in, and I really held on to that. And then so I entered hairdressing in 1978. I trained. Then in 1981, I moved into a salon with my first qualified job. Then the year later, I actually bought the guy out of the business, and I owned the business. So I was 21, that was my first salon. And I was in partnership with another guy then with that. And then within 2 years, we'd opened a second salon. And then within 5 years, we'd had a third salon, which was in the city centre of Manchester. And everything was great. We'd entered lots of awards with that. I think that we'd won a couple of hairdressing journal awards for assistants and photography and stuff. We'd got to the old Weller Vogue Award final back in the 80s there, and everything was fine. And then all of a sudden, I just sort of kind of walked away from it. I kind of almost give the salons away to the guy I was in partnership with, because I was disillusioned. I felt like it was okay, but it wasn't. I didn't feel like I was being myself there. So I moved away from that. I went to America then for 2 years, and I went teaching in America, in Florida, for 2 years. I came back from that in 1995. Then in 1996, I opened up my fourth salon, and then that was fine. Had that for several years, and then moved on to a second salon. Again, I was in partnership again. You think I would have learned the lesson by then, but I was in partnership then with an ex-partner, an ex-life partner, and we opened the salon up, which was very, very good. The best ever. I think we won silver in the Trends Vision Award in our time there, and we'd entered various different competitions. Always seemed to have fairly good success with it. And again, coupled with the breakdown of a relationship with the guy I was in business with, and my personal journey, I just didn't feel that it was the right thing for me. So, but instead of walking away this time, I just bought the guy out. And then I closed one of the salon, the first salon I got when I came back from America. I closed that, and I just concentrated on the one that I had. up until last year I had it, and then I sold it. But in between that, in 2014, I opened up a salon individually on my own, which is the salon I have now. That I've had that for several years, and this has just been the best experience for me, because the people, I kind of knew that for the first time it was something I created, it was something that I wanted. So as a result, the personnel that I was attracting to the salon were really on my vibe, as it were. So they were very motivated towards KPIs, very motivated towards the salon reputation and doing shows and stuff like that. So I ended up with that salon, and then after that, I was kind of at a point where I thought, there's a little bit more left here. I'm not really quite making the most of myself and the most of everything. So I was asking the question to myself and putting the question out there. And that's when you came into my experience and I found you.
Oh, amazing. And wow, that's a lot of salons. That's a big journey in a lot of salons. And
Yeah.
But before I get into, I'd love to know what you learned from those days. Before I get into the next session, what would be the main thing that you would say? What did you learn, apart from the salon that you're in now, but the salons that you were in previously and working with the partners, etc.? And like you say, I know you've given us a brief outline.
Yeah.
There were successes and then walking away, etc. There was a bit of a mix. What was your biggest learning curves from those days?
I think the biggest one was to be true to myself and to do things for myself and not to be subservient and please people, and end up doing something in business that I particularly didn't like or didn't resonate with me, but I would sort of sidestep and get out of the way and allow people in the partnerships to do what they wanted. And I was really I'm quite gentle and quite sensitive, quiet type of person outside of work and outside of this type of environment. So, and I think that over year, I've had to learn really that I've had to toughen up and stand up for myself and make sure that the decisions I'm making are for me and for me alone.
I'm sure there's many that are listening that can definitely relate to you right now, Seamus. Absolutely. Whether you've worked with partners or not, or if it's managing staff, whatever it may be, or management, etc. It can be challenging, and we can have all, as we know, our fear of confrontation, or fear of speaking up, and all that kind of stuff. And exactly like you said, shying away, scared to speak up, where you've got to be yourself. And actually now, with McCrory here in Manchester, now you are now it's becoming your vision. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely 100%. It's the way the salon looks, the way it operates, the agenda that's in the salon, the culture that's in the salon. It all comes from me. It's created by me, and it feels great because it's really empowering that I'm working for myself. Really, I think for the first time in my life.
Let's go back to how you came across Salon Jedi then. I mean, I don't know if you've had other coaches along the way over all these years, but how did you first come across Salon Jedi? Because you joined Salon Jedi about a year ago, and like I say, you were first ever Member of the Year winner, which the Member of the Year is, the top accolade, the member that's taking the action, that's showing up at all the events, that's doing the work. You do the work. We'll talk more about that. But how did you come across Salon Jedi, and also what was the thing that made you go, right, these are the ones for me, kind of thing? This is who I want to work with. I love the fact that you still have that, after all these salons on that journey, you've still got that inspiration of, yep, I'm still moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I love the industry that we're in. I absolutely adore it. Not just about the hairdressing, not just about the hairdressing side of things, but how you can help change people's lives. Not just people that work for you and with you, but clients also. And so when I sold the salon last year, and I was left with the one salon, and I kind of thought, right, it's time to get some proper guidance again. I had tried a couple of other coaches over the last sort of few years and stuff, and they were okay, you know, they were all right. I did learn some things that I wasn't applying and stuff, so that, you know, it kind of was worth it to engage with them. But I only engaged with them for a couple of months, and I thought, no, this isn't for me. So when I had the one salon left in Manchester, I was kind of thinking, right, you know, I need to step up here. I need to get the proper guidance, and I had been following you, you know, like you said, we have been at the BHPAs before, and I think that we were there the first night that the very first award that you guys won back in 2000 and whatever it was, and my colleague and I, who's still with me now, we kind of sort of zoned in on you, thinking, well, there's a tiny little place in Scotland, and there they are, the best in the country of doing what they're doing. There's got to be something. So we followed you on social media, and then I put the question out there again, looking for coaches. I had no idea that you know, that you were training, that you had the Salon Jedi Academy for as long as you had it. Otherwise, I would have joined sooner. But I was lucky enough to get, after the lockdown in July last year, I was lucky to get away to Cyprus for a month. So during my looking in Instagram one day, I saw your book come up, and it just jumped out at me. I thought, I said to my friend at work, oh, she's got a book written now. And I've got the book. I'll take it on holiday, which I did do. I read it cover to cover 3 times. And then as soon as I got back from holiday, I called Carla for my breakthrough call, and didn't take much persuasion from Carla, really. I immediately signed up because I saw the value of what you were offering. It wasn't just the systems that I obviously had sort of failed to recognize, to install over the years. I've had those several businesses, but it was just the mindset kind of thing as well, and how you sold that, and how natural it was in the journey to being the best that you can be as a business owner. And that's what sold it for me, really. And moreover, probably, like I say, I've had other coaches in the past, and, you know, followed other type of mindfulness coaches over the last 10, 20 years. And none of them, without exception, none of them trains and teaches and helps you to understand the downturns in life, and the downturn when things are not on the high level. And that's what sold it to me. And as soon as I knew that, I thought, yeah, that's the girl for me.
And the rest is history, as they say. But listen, since you've come in and you've joined us, so like I say, you did win Member of the Year, and you've been implementing like crazy. And I just want to ask, before we get into the implementation side of it, and the fact that you take so much action, what I'd love to ask is, let's talk about your salon a little bit more. And we've talked about how it's now your vision. Let's talk about the salon a bit more, and talk about I know the culture that you've created. Tell us about the culture, because I know it's, you know, you're big on the mindfulness and diversity and things like that. Just let everyone know a little bit about the salon and its culture.
Yeah, sure. So we have we've got a trans girl that works there. We have a gay guy that works there, a gay girl that works there, non-binary person that works there, multi-ethnic person that works there. We've got a real melting pot of different cultures and stuff, and for somehow it just gels together so nicely, and we work together really well. We look out for each other as a team. We're very caring towards each other, and people are not frightened to express their views. They're listened to, they're respected, they're made to feel valued, not just by me, but the culture I've put in place is logical to accept that we are different. Everybody is different, and we all see things differently, but yet together with the right communication and the right foundation, that you can have a really happy workplace, you know.
And what difference has it made? So does the team embrace the mindfulness training and the mindfulness stuff that you do? Do they embrace that, or is it more you that does that? How does that work? Does it
Yeah, yeah.
reflect?
So it's kind of I would say it's a kind of 50-50 thing, because you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it. So I lead by example. So since starting the Salon Jedi course, everybody in the salon has seen a difference in me. They've seen a difference in how calm and relaxed and in my approach to everything, good and bad and indifferent. So the two team members that don't engage with it as much, the very logical type of people, they need to see a lot of evidence and stuff, and they see it all as a little bit of a woo-woo thing. But in fairness, having said that, the difference it's made to performances and KPIs has been phenomenal, because I've learned how to track things properly. I've learned how to price for profit properly. I've learned how to coach that properly. We have tracker sheets in the salon. We have leaderboards. It's a very competitive thing. So whilst the two sort of logical characters in the salon would say to you, "Oh, I don't buy into that," really, in a more subtle way, they actually are, because the way I'm running things, they actually are, but they don't realize they are.
And I think it's great as well, because you're always going to have that. You have, it's not all the same characters within the salon, as you learn about different brain types and how they work. But the more that you've gotten to know about people, then when we know and understand that and how the different brain types work, for example, and different archetypes within the salon, then we understand that more as well, when we're running the business, rather than just being like, oh, they're not getting on board, they're difficult people. That's not how it is it?
Yeah. No, not at all. And I think one of the things that has swayed the two doubting Thomases, I call them, has swayed them, is the personality work that we've done recently about personality types. Now they're very engaged in that, because they see it as scientific and they see it as a real evidence-based stuff, which it is. And and little bit by little bit, they're moving over to my corner without them realizing it. So it's good to see, and it's empowering to see as well.
Yeah, I love it. And also, so this implementation. So it's one thing joining Salon Jedi, joining a program like this, and looking for that magic wand, looking for that answer, but you've got to take action. It's like the whole law of attraction stuff, where, the mistakes that people would make around the law of attraction is thinking, I think it, I feel it, and it'll just come to me. Yeah, sometimes that happens. Sometimes, little magical things happen, but we have to take action. We have to learn this stuff. We've got to take action towards it. I mean, you are a master action taker. And I have to ask, have you always been like that? Or is this something you've learned? Or is this something because you've got the fire in your belly? What is it that, some people will procrastinate and you just keep taking action? Because I know it's something that I learned along the way. I got better and better at it. But what about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm the type of character that if I choose to take part in something or to do something, I give it my heart and soul. I don't buy into it unless I'm actually going to make the proper effort with it all. Excuse me. So yeah, I've always kind of been a big action taker, and always made sure that if I saw opportunity and I could get to it, then I would make sure that I put my heart and soul into it, so that I'm getting the best results from it. And even on low days or bad days, I will still log into the Salon Jedi Academy. So, I sort of wake up to you in the morning. I put you on in the car, so you're on the drive to work. You're on the drive home and stuff. But it's because repetition is the mother of learning, and it's repeat until it sinks in and it becomes habitual. And that's why I'm an action taker, because I want it to work. I want to turn around and say, and look at myself and pat myself on the back and say, wow, I've done it. I've really done it. I mean, some of the differences that in the last year that have been phenomenal for me is the awards that I've won in the last year. You know, apart from winning the Salon Jedi Member of the Year, I mean, I was over the moon and elated about that, because I knew the effort that I put into it, and I wasn't doing it to be a teacher's pet or to think anything other than I know how successful you become and know what stature you have within the industry and the respect you command. And I thought, well, if this woman is giving this to me, I've got to make sure I'm making the most of it. So I log on most mornings. If I'm not logging on most mornings, I'm doing other work towards it and stuff. And, you know, one of my juniors won Apprentice of the Year at the training provider in January as well. And thank you. And then one of my color masters, he won the Matrix Alan Howard Transformation of the Year with his work in January as well. So, you know, it was kind of like a triple whammy there in January, February. It was fantastic. And then with actually one of the girls, the trans girl who started off as she's an older learner, she's in her 30s, and she started off with me as a front of house, but you could clearly see she had a passion and a real desire to learn. So I gave her an apprenticeship. And she's sort of coming near to her EPA, you know, an endpoint assessment in the next month. So we entered her into the British Hairdressing Business Awards as Assistant Junior of the Year, and she's got in the final. So we're absolutely over the moon. And it all ties in with our diversity and our acceptance. We're a very accepting salon. You know, there's homeless guys that hang about our salon because it's the city centre, and, you know, I have a curl specialist girl who's really phenomenal with that, and she'll bring them in and trim the hair up and get them something from Greg's or get them a sandwich or something like that. So it's a great environment that I think that I've grown, and it's grown organically. And I do resonate with the fact that the more I grow, the more that grows, and the more happiness and success I feel within inside myself, that reflects out into the salon. So, you know, it's like I'm just on the edge of something magnificent here, but I'm really happy where I am. Don't get me wrong. If this was hit now for the rest of my days, I couldn't be happier, because I've finally managed to get to a real equilibrium with my daily life. Because the game of life is in here, isn't it? And once it, you know, and most people go through the life and don't realize that. And they look at the outside of themselves for the game of life, but it's the game of life is there, and then it folds out to the outside with the right way of thinking and the right way of applying and stuff. So, yeah, I'm a happy boy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's as I always say, your business is a reflection of you, and it's a reflection of what's going more, you know, specifically, it's a reflection of what's going on inside you. You know, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your perspectives. You know, as you know, in the work that we do within Mindset, Magic, and Miracles training, you know, I'm not aware of anyone else out there in our industry that goes that depth into that kind of spirituality side of it, which is what we do at Salon Jedi, or we have that available to people. I mean, we have different levels of courses, of course, where you get to dip your toe in the water, but then, of course, we've got the more in-depth stuff, like you've done the Mindset, Magic, and Miracles training. Which is just, it's true. It's the more that you're shining, you know, and feeling good inside, it just radiates out, and then that's the results that show up. Now, talking of results that show up, and talking of giving yourself a pat on the back, tell us about, like, so we get it, the awards, the culture, etc. But how does that look business-wise? How's it affected your business? Like, what kind of wins, what KPIs, what, you know,
Sure.
What's been happening there? Because you've had some phenomenal results there as well.
Yeah. I've just opened my phone to read it, because there's that much information I can't memorize it. So we kind of did an exercise within the group, didn't we? After 2 months of opening and stuff, and in that period of time, we serviced 285 new clients, which worked out at 142 a month, with over £307,000 new client value to that. My average bill has gone up by 105%. Upgrades have gone up by 98%, and the retail average spend was up by 203%, and I had a care factor at 18%, and the list goes on and on. I mean, because now I'm really, I heard you say once, track everything, track, and that's exactly what I'm doing. If it can be tracked, it's tracked. Track how they come in. Where did they come in? Did they come from Google? Did they come from Facebook? Did they come by recommend a friend and stuff like that? So, it's great. The system that you've got there, it's just like, it feels like a real gift to me, because it's just opening me up like a flower.
Do you know, I love that what you touched on during this conversation, and it is about, because this is how we have something very similar here. We're similar with this because I have mentors as well. So that I have many mentors over the year, but my current mentor right now, I work one-to-one. I'm a private client of John Assaraf. And those of you that are listening, if you don't know John Assaraf, he's one of the experts in The Secret. And here's my thing. So I have been in John Assaraf's book. I've featured in his book, and I've been on Andy Harrington's stage, as in not standing on his stage, but on his, he uses me continually as his testimonial. Matt Wilson uses me continually as his testimonial. I've been on Chris Cardell's stage as a testimonial. The list goes on. And the reason I'm sharing this is not like, hey, check me out. It's the reason I'm sharing this because this is valuable to everyone that's listening. Because my attitude is very similar to yours of what you've said today. And that is, if they're going to share their gifts with me and they're going to share their knowledge with me, my attitude is it's my duty to do as well as I possibly can, to take that information and be a case study, because then I'm giving back. It's that reciprocation, isn't it? Whereas they're giving me their information, their knowledge that they've they've worked all the years of tried and tested kind of thing. They've put it into formula. They're giving it to me. Yes, I'm paying money. Yes. But at the same time, if that wasn't available to me, I would be stuck. So even though, yes, I'm paying you money, but my thing is always, I'm going to be your best case study. I'm going to be your best testimonial. I just have this in my mind when I start to work with somebody, if it's something, that I really feel passionate about kind of thing. And the result is I do take action. Like that is, depending on how we reframe it, it inspires me to take action. It's like it's not just my duty for myself to take action, but actually for them as a thank you and gratitude for sharing that information. And it sounds like it's quite similar there with you. You have that kind of, it's for yourself as well, but you have that respect for the training and where it's come from, and that that it works. It's worked for other people. It works, and I don't have to share my business model with people. It's just what I do. But that was my thing that I've been doing for the last 11 years. That's what gets me up in the morning. That's what I love to do. So when I see someone like you that grabs that, and many of the Jedis, many of the Jedis, that grab that information and do the best that you can with it and implement and take action, it is just the best feeling. This is what makes our job so special. So I have to thank you, and to all the Jedis that are listening as well. But Seamus, I have to thank you for being that case study, that advocate for really getting the training and putting it in action. And sometimes, for everyone that's listening, sometimes parts of the training will be more difficult than others. Have you found that? So some things, because this is just natural, and what happens is some people might come across a bit of the training that they struggle with. So that might make them go, oh, I can't do this, and stop. What would your advice be on that?
It's not all plain sailing, because you're learning new stuff. You're learning on the marketing side of things. Recently, we've done what lead magnets are. I mean, the only magnet I knew of was on a fridge before I knew what a lead magnet was. So you're learning new things that can kind of make you think, oh, am I okay here? Am I doing it all right? Is this too much for me? There's other times when famously I'm known for not understanding pie charts and stuff like that, but I've persevered with it. I've found a solution for it, and now I use it, and now I understand it. It's become a really valuable tool. And because I found it hard to obtain it's even more valuable for me. And one of the other biggest bonuses that I never realized I would get is that actually there's a community there. There's a community of people up and down the country, in Ireland and elsewhere, that we've become friendly. And, you know, I feel like I've got connections there for a lifetime. And that, you know, you can't pay for that.
Yeah. And I've just put up a little message saying hello from Romy, saying hi, your accountability partner. We just popped her up there. Lisa's here supporting you as well. Lisa's saying, Caroline, in your pocket. That's what you were saying about how in the pocket, in the car, etc. So, yep, and Claire is having a little giggle about the pie charts here. So, listen, if anyone has any questions for Seamus before we wrap up, feel free to type them in. And we'll ask. But I do have a question. Carla wanted to ask a question, which we've kind of touched on a little bit. But what keeps you inspired? So after, you know, being a salon owner, I know that you've said that you love the industry, etc. But for now, I mean, you must have seen the industry change so much over the years. What keeps you inspired to keep opening the salons and keep being a salon owner? What would you say is the main thing that keeps you inspired?
I would say probably mainly being able to see and being able to help and teach younger people and help them realize their own power, that they actually can be a fantastic hairdresser, they can have a fantastic life, they can travel the world with it, they can open their own salon, or they can earn as much money as they want. And so I think that's probably what really inspires me more than anything, is being able to share what I learn, you know, good and bad experiences. And I feel like I've got a good textured background in having several salons and not having several salons, that I kind of know where I'm at now, and I kind of know what I'm talking about, thanks to the, you know, the avenue I found with you. And I feel that, you know, the motivation for me is being able to look at a young person. There's nothing better than seeing a younger person, for instance, the girl that's got through to the BHBA finals, and just that look on her face, you know, that like she realized and obviously because she's a trans lady, she's had a really difficult life, you know, obviously being born into the wrong body and making those choices. So she's had a really difficult life with lots of difficult choices, but having that finalized position there, it was just something, her face just opened up, and she's been skipping ever since. So it's things like that, you know.
Yeah. So Claire's saying you are so inspiring, Seamus, and I know that this podcast will inspire so many, whether you're with Salon Jedi or not with Salon Jedi, or whether you've just started out in light or whatever level you're at. I mean, Seamus, obviously you're in our mastermind group. You're in the top level in the mastermind with us. But, you know, everyone has to start somewhere. Sometimes, you know, you've already got a lot of experience behind you. Everyone's got to start somewhere. And we can feel a little bit lost sometimes when we start out, even if we're starting a new program. Like, there definitely will be people who have joined Salon Jedi Academy at Light, you know, and you know that the Light is more DIY. There's training every week with Carla, but there's also you've got to log into the academy and do the work. And sometimes it can, you know, people can find it difficult to you know, they might procrastinate over, or they find it difficult to do the work for whatever reason. And we know the battle that goes on in the head and the mind for all that kind of stuff. But what would your tip be? What would your tip be to anyone who is maybe procrastinating? What would your advice be to somebody who's maybe you know, dabbling with the training, but they're not getting stuck into it yet? Maybe they're having struggles. What would your tip be that they can use that's going to help them, push them to actually do the work and do the action?
So with procrastination, I kind of think, in my experience, and I have been a procrastinator at times in my life, and in my experience, it's that fear of getting it wrong, that fear or that desire to be perfect in everything that you try to do. And life just isn't like that, you know. None of us are perfect. None of us will ever get to where we want to be, because that's the nature of life. So if you're sort of dragging your heels with not getting a particular thing done. I think it's just, go out and walk around the park. If you've got a dog, take the dog out. If you've got a book that you like to read, sit down and read a few pages of it. Or if you want to do a little meditation or do the breathing patterns that we've learned to do, just to give yourself a bit of kindness, a bit of self-care, a bit of self-care in the way you're talking to yourself in your mind, and, create a little gap for yourself. And I think when you create that little gap for yourself, the procrastination is shown the door and you get your second gusto, and then you're back on track again.
Yeah, and I also think sometimes that something big can be quite overwhelming. So say, for example, because we've got so many videos and so much training, so some people might be like, where do I start? Even though we do a blueprint and a plan of, start here, etc., is just take one step at a time, just one step at a time. Don't look at the whole thing and the whole journey and go, oh my God, how am I going to do that? That seems like a huge journey. It's just taking that first step. So for me, when I'm doing my studying, if I'm ever procrastinating on switching it on, because I study too, and I do videos, I do my own education where I log in and I do exactly what the Jedis are doing, but in other areas. And sometimes if I don't feel like doing it, my thing to myself is exactly like you say, is just be kind to yourself, no big pressure, but I just my commitment is I'm just going to log in. I'm just going to log in, because it's almost like it's the logging in of it. For me, that is often the procrastination of setting up the laptop, logging in. What's my password again? That kind of thing, and logging in. And then I go, I'm not going to give myself any pressure to do any work, like go and do an hour or half an hour. I say, just go log in. And once I've done the login and I go in, then I'm in there and I'm like, all right, where did I leave off? Oh yeah, okay, well, I'll just do one module. I'll do one module. And then from there, I'll just see how I feel. And sometimes I'll end up, if I'm in flow, I'll end up doing loads of modules. If I'm not in flow, I'll do one. If I'm really not feeling it, I might just read a page and then just say, no, it's just not working today, and jump out. But the fact is, I'm retraining my brain. Like if the problem is just the logging in part, then I'm realizing, well, if that's the part, just dealing with that part first. The rest kind of flows after it. That's my little thing that I do. Because you're right, we all have moments that we procrastinate, some more than others. And the things that I would procrastinate on would be being overwhelmed at the amount of work that's going to be involved in it. Because if you're feeling overwhelmed anyway, you're feeling overwhelmed, you're like, oh God, I've got to go in and do that. And it feels like a huge task. So what I do is I chunk it down into a tiny task. As John Assaraf says, reduce it to the ridiculous. So I reduce it to the ridiculous to, I'm just going to log in. That's my challenge today. Just go log in. So that would be my little advice, is try not look at the big picture if it's overwhelming for you, because that can be a thing as well. It's the fact that it's overwhelming you that you don't do it. And also exactly what you said, Seamus, is the fear of getting it wrong. So the fear of even getting started, because what if I don't do it right? What if I can't do it? Or like I said, when you first come across one that you don't get, that you're not resonating with as much, like maybe there's technology involved and you've got a fear of technology or something like that, or a fear of pie charts, Yeah. And then the brain goes, get me out of here, can't do it. But that's when we just have to kind of dig our heels in a bit and go, no, right, okay, well, if I don't do that one, I'll do another one. We don't give up. And we might be frustrated and we might be like, because something is a challenge for us. But once we overcome that challenge, once that pie chart's created, that's when we've got that big pat in the back, because that it wasn't so easy for you to do that. Some things it's easy for us, but other things aren't. So you're a prime example with the pie chart, but you kept, although you can tell there's no enjoyment in this thing. Like sometimes it's like there's no enjoyment. And I always say that there's certain things that I do at the salon and in my systems, there's no enjoyment for me. It's not my thing. So I try and outsource that as quick as I can. But there's a period of time I still need to know how to do it. Or there's a period of time that we have to do it. We have to know what it means. We have to do it so we can then outsource it to someone else. But we need to know if they're doing it right or not, if that makes sense. So there's, but it doesn't mean that you're going to have to be the one that's doing the pie charts forever. But now you understand them. Now you understand all the figures and the numbers. Does that make sense? So you've got that knowledge that you just need to look at a report now. Someone else can do it for you, but what all those things mean.
Yes.
And what what those numbers should be, what percent should be here, what percent should be spent here, what percent should be spent here, and so on. You just need to look at it now. But you've overcome the hurdle, you've overcome the challenge of actually going, oh crap, I need to have these charts.
Yeah.
I need to track everything. I need to have these charts in my business and understand them. Well, let me see. We have another couple. We've got a question here. I don't know who it's from because it says Facebook user. Because it's just at the above this video, there's a little link that you have to give permission for StreamYard to be able to see your name. So I'm not sure who it's from, but feel free to type in your name. Did you ever set yourself financial goals to be achieved by a certain deadline? Is from Facebook user. So do you ever set yourself specific financial goals, or is that not the kind of goals you give yourself? What is more the type of goals that you go by?
Yeah, I have done. Yeah, I have done periodically in my life. It's not something that I do all the time. Like my daughter got married 5 years ago, and I knew that was coming up 3 years before that. So, and I knew that, you know, there was going to be a lot of money spent out. So I planned it, and it worked out quite well. I've done it for buying cars. I've done it for one of the particular salons I had. I've done that. And I'm probably going to do it if my progress continues upwards as it is. I'll probably be looking to expand. You know, if we can get the space next door to the salon I'm at now. So obviously, I would plan for that as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask actually as well, was what is the next plans for McCrory Hair and the team there at McCrory Hair? What's the future look like? What's the plan? So
yeah,
you said
so
expansion.
Yeah, so expansion certainly. I don't, as you know, I've got a curly haired specialist girl there, and the girl that's in the BHBA finals, she's been under her wing, so she's actually doing some clients now. We get phenomenal business with that. She's positioned herself as one of the UK's leading curl specialists. She's on forums, she does live, she gets guested for Authentic Beauty Concept. She did a live Instagram for them the other week. So there's a lot of career growth there for the people that are working for me, and I just want to see that grow, you know, and everybody's individual. One of the things I learned from you early on was find out what your niche is, and what you're good at, what you're really, really good at, what you really love to do, and zone in on that. So I've used that agenda on the individual people in the salon, and it's working phenomenally well, you know, because they're realizing that actually, yeah, they can. I just want to do color. Yeah, you can do color. I want to do curls. Yes, you can do curls. So it's kind of like I'm building a really a great environment for people to grow creatively and financially as well, because they see the value in doing something they love, and pricing for profit in the correct way, that they win and the salon wins, the business wins, and I win.
What a wonderful way to round this off. The last question, by the way, was Maggie. So thank you for the question, Maggie. So listen, Seamus, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you here. I've loved finding out. I didn't know that you trained in America, or if I did, I'd forgotten. I didn't know you were an educator over there, but hopefully you're going to be a Salon Jedi educator very soon.
Yes.
Yeah, so listen, love having you aboard. Love having you. If anyone wants to reach out to Seamus, go and follow McCrory Hair on Instagram, socials, all that kind of stuff. Go and check them out. If you need a curl specialist in your life, McCrory Hair is the place to go. Listen, it's been lovely having you here, Seamus.
Thank you.
And thanks to everyone for your questions. There's been quite a few here today. Leon is saying, sounds amazing. Yeah, you've created a phenomenal business. Congratulations. And
Thank you,
everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.